Hello. I'm doing a review of a video we already made. And this is about catatonia. So that was the intro to the video I'm discussing called Crossing Thresholds with B. Just a minute, B. I'll get you your ice cream. I'm trying to feed someone at the same time. So just a minute. Okay, so this particular video, the reason that I'm doing a review of it is twofold. Okay, there have been a lot of questions to me from doctors and just people in general curious. Okay, I'm sorry, Bubby. The bit right there. So, okay, I'm sorry. What is it? What did you mean? What did you mean? What did you mean? Okay, okay. All right, sorry. So there have been a lot of questions. And I'm going to address that one second. What the question would be about. Very valid question, very interesting. And it's got to do with what occurred as to why I made this video. You can do it. Go ahead. Go for it. You got it. All right. So the first reason is because long ago, about 10 years ago, when he first occurred, when he first developed catatonia from taking risperidone. It's a thing, it can happen. Okay. It's called neuroleptic malignant syndrome when it happens that way, and it starts catatonia is what it does. And the catatonia can be chronic for life because it has a secondary driver, which is depression. All right. So at any rate, so it can come back. You might conquer it, but it can come back. And my hope is to conquer it for good. I don't know if they really know. I like to think, I didn't like that bad news, so it could be chronic. But they've been right. I mean, it's been chronic. It has returned. I've gotten it to go away. Jesus has gotten it to go away for a few years at a time. It's our biggest chunk, 14 to 16. And anyway, that's a different video. When I first started researching catatonia to deal with our situation, how do I cure it, and how do you recognize it? What is catatonia? Because it's a whole thing you got to figure out now, right? Now, catatonia has been around since the late 1800s. We've been recognizing it since the late 1800s. And autism since the 40s, 1940s, 1960s. Okay, baseline is classic autism. Oh, goodness, you got a mosquito. We get a lot of mosquitoes here. We're by a lake. So the first reason is because when I was first researching it, it had an odd, I don't know if it was on the checklist. There's a checklist for catatonia that you can kind of check out and see, how many. So you can look it up on the internet if you wanted to know, hey, does my kid have catatonia? But it was either in the research stuff that I was researching, because I went beyond the checklist. I went into how do I cure this? What are some obscure ideas? Because nobody's doing all the other stuff that I did to cure it. Nobody mentioned that. There's like a brief mention, okay, and I gathered as much info as I could. Go for it. You got it, buddy. Go for it. Excuse me there. Sorry. So, but crossing thresholds. Now you could play that out into other symptoms if you want to. Immobility, symptoms in autism, which are amped up when you have catatonia on board. But I thought I saw the actual symptom crossing thresholds, having trouble. And originally, when he originally had catatonia, he had a really hard time crossing thresholds, literally. Like curbs were considered thresholds. He would put his toy in the threshold, and he just suddenly couldn't cross it. And what went along with that is I had to roll him over thresholds using the wheelchair because he couldn't cross them. And what kind of goes along with that is also going from room to room, transitions, change, immobility. I mean, it all kind of overlap. Immobility is a symptom of catatonia. However, originally, really didn't notice that compared to the stupors. When it came back and it wasn't as strong, the catatonia, he had immobility instead of stupors. He hasn't had stupors since the original onset, which was terrifying. Okay. Could I help you a little bit? Where'd your spoon go? Okay, I'm sorry. I'll never have a second to do this video any other way. So please bear with me. So basically, this time, which is a few years later, I looked up this checklist for catatonia, and I didn't see crossing thresholds on the symptom checklist. I don't know if maybe it was some additional, um, description or something I found out there eons ago, or it was definitely an issue back then. Now I don't really see that so much this round, except for this lingering, just he wouldn't cross that threshold. And there used to be a threshold going into the kitchen, and we've actually taken the wall down. He still wouldn't cross into there. So it had been years. I've owned this house for about 10 years. Okay. Since my husband died. So that's when I first got here. Right on, buddy. You got a mosquito again. Sorry. Okay, so I don't see it. So if you look up so I want to be clear about that. I realize, friends, if you look up the checklist for catatonia, you're not going to see inability to cross thresholds on the catatonia checklist that you find on the internet. If you find one, just kind of random, but it helped me to understand some things. So that were happening, and um, so it's not on the list anymore, but we still had it as a major struggle. And this video was really about the fact that he had such a huge victory. He goes all the way into the back of the kitchen now, so he crosses that threshold, and he's kept that victory. And it's really, really cool. And I'm really thankful for that. So this time, I haven't found it on the checklist this time. I think it was on on either a checklist or an additional description of somebody's experience that I was researching last time, and I was mistaken thinking it was on the actual checklist. It's certainly in our experience of catatonia. But this time I did not find it on any checklist, and I'm not really in need to research further than, maybe new videos that people have, or, there's not a whole lot out there about catatonia. But this time I did not find it. So you won't find it on a current checklist that I know of for catatonia. There are checklists out there. I mean, that's not how you get it diagnosed, but it can help. That's why I said it can help. That's not how you get it diagnosed, but it can help you. It can help you, the caregiver, a little. But it's not on the list now. So at the end of this chat, I'm going to go ahead and play the video again. But let me first say what happened. And it took me a few to realize, because at this time he was having just a ton of seizures. So this is the second question. And it's a good question. I think that I get asked this question. What's going on, buddy? Oh, you gotta wait. When you let it rewind first. He's watching his brother's special CRT TV. And he wants me to do stuff. You want me to do something else? What's going on, buddy? You gotta wait a couple minutes and I will get it for you. Okay? Oh, yeah, there was a mosquito, huh? I will play it for you. You gotta let it rewind. Okay? So it's like he had every seizure you can imagine. All kinds of seizures. Seizures I've never seen before. I don't know why. It's a detached, separate thing. He didn't always have seizures. He didn't always have epilepsy. Okay. But he's had it off and on throughout his life. And that's a different story. But it's not a different story in this respect in the question that I get, the second question. Okay. I'm sorry, sweetie. Which is, I think the reason I get the question, the curiosity, is because if you can't cure catatonia, there are some obscure folks. It's not really, I don't know if anyone really practices it too much, but they do sometimes somewhere do like this electric shock therapy. We've never done it. Probably not going to do it. And I'm not condemning anyone that's done that. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know. What I'm getting at is, oh, I'm sorry. Are you ready? Oh, I'm sorry. That was a little, let me pay attention. I'm sorry, baby. You're okay, huh? Let me get you there. Did I give you too much? I'm sorry. Pay better attention. The reason I think that it can become, the question that I get is, after he has a seizure, does the catatonia improve? And it's because of that electric shock therapy thing that they do, some theory that they've had, probably because somebody's had this kind of an experience, right? Which actually, yes, it's true. You after, but it's random, okay? It's random. So sometimes he would have a seizure and then the catatonia would disappear. He would get up, not having a seizure, after the ground, run, and it'd be any kind of seizure, but a big, right? So I'd run all over the house. All of a sudden, he's not afraid to cross thresholds. He's got mobility. Catatonia is totally gone, but then it comes back a few hours later, catatonia. So it only works for a little while. When and if it works, it doesn't always work. It can go the other way, not very often. It can, there have been a couple times that I've like, did that just make it worse? But not very often. Usually it does make it better, or it does nothing. It's just he just had seizures. That's usually what happens, but I have literally seen it. So in this particular time was one of those times. It was really strange. I mean, I don't really know if the seizures do anything to help cure the catatonia or not. We're not going to do electrical therapy or any of that. And nobody's asked us about that. So, I mean, that's not where we're going. I'm just talking about the seizures and what happens with the catatonia. And I'll get that off your leg in just a moment there. Okay. Oh, I can't take that because that's our little guard, isn't it? Our paper towels. It did this time. That's why he crossed the threshold. So I'm going to show you, before I show you the video, pictures of his fingers. He was having this really weird seizure at that time. Good job. That's awesome, buddy. Sorry. It was like his three fingers would go purple. It was really weird. It was just on one hand. Now I don't even hardly, there's so many different seizures I have. Anyway. But you can see I took pictures of it. Was his three fingers, and that was the only sign that he was having a seizure. He was awake, he was up, he was walking, and it was a seizure. He was having a seizure while he was doing this. I don't know what kind, I don't know what you call that. It was very strange. But that's why he crossed the threshold in the kitchen to begin with. It's because he was having a seizure at that moment. That's why his fingernails were purple. That only happened when he was having a seizure, a certain type of seizure that doesn't usually have, that I've never seen before. I don't know what to call, but it was in the mix of when he was having all these multitudes of seizures and status epilepticus and all of that. Okay. But this particular time, it was just they had the seizures and then crossed the threshold, and he's been crossing that threshold ever since. So this video, thank you, Jesus, is a wonderful victory, and we're so thankful for it. But to answer that question, do seizures ever improve catatonia? Yes. It's not reliable, But yes, sometimes it makes it go away, but it comes back. It's never been like permanently cured that way or anything. But this is something that's happened kind of permanently. This not crossing the kitchen threshold for years and years and years, gone. I mean, he's not running in there every day all the time, but he's going in there and he goes beyond his boundaries and all of that, and he's doing great. And I think that a seizure was involved in that. Weird. So I'm going to show you pictures of his fingers where they're purple, and that's why I'm showing you that. And then play the original video at the very end of this. Thanks for hanging out. So to be clear, I was talking about two different ways. When of curing the catatonia, um, when I said this is a singular incident, I'm just talking about the seizure, um, and how it affected this particular issue that he's having with the catatonia. But there are people, when I was talking earlier about the electric shock therapy, they're early on in this, and I'm assuming they still do it. And that's why I got the question recently from an ER doctor, which is, I would be interested too. It's a, of course. And he asked me, so did you see any improvement in the catatonia after the seizures? I thought it was a really smart question. I thought that's why he asked it, is because at that hospital it's obscure, but they do, at least they claim to, if they're over 12, do for a few of them approach catatonia that's really, really difficult, and it's not being cured with electric shock therapy. But I had the idea that it was like they go in and get it pretty routine with the idea of curing all of the catatonia. And like I said, it's not a road we've gone down, but it's interesting to see why. It makes me think that's why they do that, is because um, somebody's had an experience with a seizure at some point in time. So I'm sorry, I had been a little distracted and might have bounced around a little. I hope that was clear. If you've hung this long, thanks for your company. Now I'm going to play the original video that this is about, where he crossed the threshold. And we thank you, Lord Jesus, for that victory. God bless. Take care.